So I officially have an announcement, which is I have stopped setting language learning goals. Recently, I have felt that it's been hard for me to follow through with my language learning goals. And I've also found in the past, I had been feeling really frustrated about avoiding basically what I needed to do in order to get to my past language learning goals. I was constantly running towards the end result instead of actually enjoying the process of language learning. And I don't think I am alone in sharing that sentiment with other language learners. We all get the marketing around how to learn a language faster, how to learn a language more efficiently. So I want to share the reframing mindset that has really helped me getting from a B1 to a B2 in Turkish, and also passing my DELE Spanish exam and increase my motivation. By the way, this idea I'm about to share with you came from one of my awesome group members inside my group coaching program, the Mindful Multilinguals Collective. So if you are interested in gaining lifelong confidence, no matter what language level or how many languages you speak, you can find more info in the comments below. So what I'm doing essentially for the rest of this year is reframing language goals to language projects. I took this idea, I ran with it, and I will share what language projects exactly are, my examples of past language projects, why I'm even making this mindset shift in the first place, and how it could be helpful to you in your own learning. So why am I not setting goals anymore? I talked a little bit about this in the beginning, but I want to emphasize, when I think about language goals, I usually put a lot of unnecessary stress, a lot of unnecessary pressure on myself to get to the goal as fast as possible, and any decision that I make that is relevant to my language learning is made out of scarcity, that I don't have enough time, or just fearing failure, that I won't reach my goal. I think we all have encountered at least a few mental roadblocks inside each of our language learning journeys, and I'm just lucky enough to have this mental block follow me around. I think regarding my past language learning experience too, of course there have been many goals I have reached, but also equally many goals that I have failed that I haven't necessarily shared. Me also being a language learner who is still very much affected by my past identity as a straight A student in the school system I grew up in, even with the mindset work that I've done around my own language learning and how I approach it. Perceived failure these days still doesn't feel very good. Now, on the flip side of this, when I think about the word project instead of goal, that's when I immediately think about how I want to achieve goal, not only what the end result will be. I get kind of excited about what I'm going to fill the middle part with, new resources or resources I've wanted to finish. And from there, I found that especially this year, I start making decisions in my language learning that are more motivated by my own inspiration to want to grow more. And this also allows me to build more meaning around what I'm doing and how I'm going to get to the end of my project. So the emphasis here is just going through the process of a project instead of getting to a goal as fast as possible. I also think I just have a mentally just negative connotation in my head with the word goal. I think back in maybe 2017 when I really started to learn languages seriously, I really wanted to be multilingual after not having known any other language outside of my native language, English. While it was really exciting for me to be able to, first of all, speak German, which was my first foreign language, it was really hard to not compare myself to others who knew more languages and they spoke them all really well. So I started to try to collect languages as if they were money. I was on the constant hustle and grind, and amidst all of this, not only setting up all of my language learning plans and being organized every single time, but also not even allowing myself to build meaning and enjoy the process in what I was doing. For example, I was trying to learn Spanish as fast as possible, which is what I did, but even then I didn't allow myself enough time to actually process much of anything, and really the burnout that my body was feeling as I was trying to pursue that goal. Plus, it was really hard to enjoy to the fullest my wins and successes at the end once I did learn Spanish to around a B2 level. You guys, I even went to Spain after about 3 or 4 months of starting to learn Spanish with one of my friends, and the only thing I could think about was getting to my next goal in Spanish as fast as possible, mastering the subjunctive, mastering the grammar, and I wasn't even really fully present in being able to appreciate that I was in Spain and I was literally talking to people even just after 3 months of learning the language. So really having that kind of relationship with language learning learning for years, my body now associates hurry with the word goal nowadays. Because in the past, of course, it's how I used to feel when I was trying to reach a goal. I also feel like sometimes announcing a big goal I have is really intimidating. It's like a big announcement to the world that I will then mess up and then won't fulfill. Even though none of you guys are directly telling me, hey, like if you fail, then we're gonna make fun of you or something like that. I know that I put pressure on myself in that way. And the words that we use to talk to ourselves about our own language learning and think about our learning process, right? They do matter. So that is why I have essentially chosen this reframe to go from goals to thinking about projects more. And I find that doing this has helped me become more present in my learning for everything that I experience through learning my language, through all the study sessions that I go through in order to improve the language. I'm not always thinking about the past, about what I could have done better, or the future, what this and this decision in my language learning might mean for my potential failure in the future, right? And I've started to notice, even sitting down at my language learning sessions, I don't feel as anxious. You know, my body doesn't associate the setting where I study my languages at a desk or on my couch with the feeling of, all right, I gotta do this as fast as possible. Now, if you are a perfectionist like me, I totally understand when we have an ambitious goal in mind. We are solo language learning here, so we know it's all up to us in order to achieve that goal. But we might also be really hard on ourselves because we expect that step 1, 2, 3 is going to get us to the goal at the exact time and in the exact way that we expect these steps to. And of course, when we have to take a detour, when we have to inevitably pivot, that is when we can feel really disappointed in ourselves. But I have felt that with language projects, even just the word mentally allows me to not feel so bad about experimentation and just allow the detours to happen that I need to happen in order to keep on reaching for success and reaching the end of my project in the end. And I kind of think about this as maybe when I got an art project in school, and of course I had an assignment due at the end, and I had all of my materials with me. I may have had an idea of how I wanted to put the pieces together to complete the project. However, my teacher wouldn't really know how I got to the end result. It's all me. And I, as a student, was also very open to how I wanted to put all the parts of the project together, and I wasn't afraid to change anything that needed to be changed once I had followed my original idea through. In fact, I expected change. And so thinking about language projects instead of language goals has helped me operate and think about my own language learning in the same way. I will say it also helped me focus on actual measurable outcomes. I remember when I used to set yearly goals to reach B2 in French, B1 in Turkish, etc. And I wasn't necessarily going to take any sort of official language exam, seeing at the end of the year that I didn't set a specific enough goal in order to be proud of what I had already accomplished that year. So I was already technically setting myself up for failure by not being as specific with a goal. And language projects has helped me with having more of a clear focus about what I'm actually working on. Okay, so what can actually be a language project? For me, it can literally be anything, and it can be lasting as long as maybe a half day until maybe a year. Whatever timeline is most relevant to you, basically, will work. And of course, a project has a clear beginning and a clear end with a specific focus in mind, and it gives you a really tangible result at the end, of course. So you do know that you've made progress in your learning. Now, you've already witnessed some of the big projects that I have had, and also being able to finish and pass the C1 Dele exam. And then I tended to build even smaller projects that would help me accomplish the bigger overarching one. I made it a mini project to memorize all of the 260 idiomatic expressions that were given to me by my Dele teacher. However, your projects don't have to be as big as these. Some examples of other smaller language projects that I have been working on is finishing my novel in Turkish and being able to understand the main ideas and just talk about what it was about in my next Turkish conversation class by the end of the year, and also not use a dictionary in order to get through the book. So I'm using this language project for reading, but you can also use similar language projects for any sort of skills that you want to improve. So you can also listen to a full audiobook in your target language. You could work on a project that gets you to speak for the first time and order at your favorite restaurant, finishing an app or a resource or a program, or some smaller aspect of a program if it's really big. I am doing this currently with Mango Languages, which is my favorite language learning app, and I am basically telling myself to just finish the units by the end of this month. So are you interested in how your own language learning project might work, or how this reframing from a goal to a project might also help you boost your motivation and get you excited about the process, again, of learning a language. Because again, the process is really the ultimate reward. How has this reframing mindset helped you think differently about what you want to accomplish in your languages? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll check in with you in another video.